All right. So I said I would get around to this around the evening time or in the afternoon. Me and Brother Andre just got done having one of our standard excellent conversations. And now I'm ready to move on and do what it is that I need to do. As it says, Propria persona, which is for oneself, or as understood in the courts, and normal jargon, pro se, which is you are going to represent yourself. Now, we always see this stuff in the movies. The guy or the gal who doesn't, normally the man though, doesn't want any legal advice. They're a maven in their own rights, and they would like to give rise to different things that maybe legal counsel or legal advice might not be willing to say or might not speak up to. Hey, sister, as I said, I'm on it. So I was talking to Andre, and I was thinking about using like New Jersey for a state, as an example, while I shade in my own personal life to use for certain parts. But most definitely, I'm going to use another state. Uh, and it's not to try to make myself seem like I'm a smart guy or anything like that, but it's just to show you that the process of how it works is generally the same. Um, if you go to most states, they're going to have statutes and laws, and I'm going to use a moment while I go to Google. I'll pull it up. We're going to use hmm, Vermont. There we go. No, not Vermont. Wisconsin. Vermont might have laws that I just don't like. I don't know. Or that I just find too favorable. Who knows? But I picked a state in the Midwest. It is the it is a what state is it? Is it going to tell us a statehood? Nope. Let's not worry about all that. Let's just get to state law. Yeah. Give me 1 second. And pull up on this other page, Wisconsin State Constitution. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to share the page here in a second. Annotated Constitution. And this is last amended at April 15, 2015 election, published August 22, 2018. So bam. Let me go ahead and pull it up and share it with y'all. See. Okay. It's a little bit bigger. All right. Bam. We'll get to the slavery prohibited in a second. Let's go to trial by jury, verdict, and civil cases. Bam. Which prohibits unlawful assemblies is constitutional. Cassidy versus Sessi, blah, blah, blah. Let's just get on down, though. Trial by jury, verdict, and civil cases. Amended November 1922. The right of trial by jury shall remain inviolate, so they can't violate that, and shall extend to all cases at law without regard to the amount and controversy. But a jury trial may be waived by the parties in all cases in the manner prescribed by law, provided, however, that the legislator may, from time to time, by statute, provide that a valid verdict in civil cases may be based on the votes of a specified number of jury, not less than 5/6 thereof, which is like 87% or something like that, or 86%, whatever it is, 83%. It's something like that. It's 80 something percent though. Okay, so we're gonna go on down, and I'm gonna give you a hypothetical here in a moment after we read just a basic little part of this. Um, when a juror is struck after trial has commenced, a litigant cannot be required to proceed with 11 jurors in a civil case. The trial court must declare a mistrial or grant non-suit with the right to plead over. It was error to grant a non-suit and then direct a verdict for the defendant because the plaintiff refused to continue with 11 jurors. Stop right there. They're saying that if a person were to try to come against you, whatever this is, Polk versus Johnson, I'd have to actually look all this stuff up, and I'm not going to make you suffer through all that. But what this is saying is this: if a person comes against you, right, and they don't want your case, they don't want the case to be heard by a jury, right? They the the court can't say, well, you know what I mean? They're saying it's an error to grant a non-suit, right? And then direct a verdict for the defendant. So what they're saying is that you can't say that it's a non-suit and then still try to go ahead and then go after a verdict anyway. You get what I'm saying? We're not having that. So whatever happened with these guys, you know, um, um, Polk versus Johnson dictated this. Now I'm going to give you my real life example right now as to why this is like huge. So in my case, I let me look for it real quick. I know it starts with the 5, but it's case number 5 something, and it's an unlawful possession of a firearm, and it's in the District Court of Seattle. Now, in that case, I'm not going pro se, so I can actually talk about all of this in the full capacity because I'm not representing myself in that case. I've been representing myself in a civil suit that, well, not civil suit, a civil claim that the city has against me. And right now I'm at the crescendo of everything. I'm still looking for the paperwork. Give me one moment. If I can't find it, like I said though, it's an unlawful possession, and they say it stems from an arrest, right? That happened on July 13th of this year, July 14th, excuse me, of this year. Now, why this is so important? Let me just keep on moving down, just in case you guys are reading. Uh, why this is so important is because we have a situation that I'm currently having to undergo that stems from another situation. So the civil proceeding that I just had to that I'm supposedly supposed to be done and over with, but I'm not done with just yet. Uh, that proceeding has caused for another case to be arisen, but the matter of findings, one moment, are what are within question. Now, aside of that, the reason why I'm using a state like Wisconsin is because we're going to go to Wisconsin State Library right here. Bam. And it should have switched right over. I'm hoping it did. And we're going to go to ordinances and codes. Bam. Go down. Now, see, we can pick anywhere in freaking Wisconsin. You see what I'm saying? And this is anywhere. And this website is this is obviously the Wisconsin State Library.gov. See what I'm saying? But it has every city, every place pretty much that's mentioned here. So you can look them all up. We're going to go to a village, not a town. Bloomfield, excuse me, village. Licenses and permits. One moment. Fireworks. Nope. Building permits. Nope. Director seller permit. Nope. You know what? I might just use one of these in a minute, in a moment anyway, just because I might want to. For other reasons. Let's say you're outdoor or worker. HVAC, this is perfect. You know, you do indoor outdoor work. This is their license for it, whatever, right? We're not going to worry about this. We're just going to go back. I'm going to close that down. But let's say you're an HVAC worker, right? We're just going to use an HVAC guy, and we're going to go back to the state legislature. And let's say a guy brought you the case or to court. You don't have a lawyer. You just started working. You just had enough money to get your company off the ground. Cost you everything. So company vehicle is just barely working the way that you need it to. You're just now starting to make a little bit of money. Guy claims you put his air conditioner and his heater in reverse areas. It's had adverse effects on his health. He's trying to sue you. Bam. So you say, okay, well, I don't have the money to hire a lawyer, though I probably would like one. The man looks up everything that pertains to what it is that are the codes that we obviously could look for the HVAC people for a village of Bloomfield, right on, but which is in Wisconsin. So we got to understand that these are places that we're talking about. But once again, this is an HVAC guy or HVAC woman, or put yourself in this position, and you're there, and so now you don't have the money to represent yourself or to pay for a lawyer, or you say in your mind, I don't need to pay for a lawyer because I know what I did is justified within the parameters of the code. What he asked me to do would have actually have been unethical, whatever your argument is. I can't dictate that to you. You would have to go through the situation. But what you would do is you would get all the information that pertains to what it is for the HVAC person. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back there real quick. And we're going to HVAC. Yeah. And this is the license, right? So we're not going to worry about the license again. I don't too much want to. You know what? I will worry about this. Bam. Let's say right here. Let's just look at this, and then I'm going to use this as a way to explain what I'm talking about. So, person's talking about whatever, right? This is the right here, air conditioning. Bam. And then let me try to find the heating or something that's close to it. Let's say the gas oil furnace boiler right here, right? So you come in to do this air conditioning and 2 of the bedrooms, and it's whatever the square feet is, whatever, right? Obviously, it's a schedule of inspection fees, right on. New building base fee, so it's $40 for them to come in there and just to check everything. You get what I'm talking about? Just off tops, and this is professional building inspections. These are the HVAC people for them. So, and God forbid you work for the city and this happens to you, right? God forbid you guys have a city job like that. And Joe Schmuckatelli is the owner. The contractor is you. Estimated cost is, I don't know, $5,000. And the list of the contractor or all HVAC replacements, damn, you throw that up there, you put your license number up there, all this stuff is down there, right? So look, your base fee off tops is $40 coming on in. You get what I'm talking about? This is part of your own application. They fill in on the square foot, you put the fee there, right? Because you have to be able to cover all these things effectively, right? Within the services. You go through all these things. They say the heat that goes to my son's room is supposed to be an air conditioner going to his room, and the air conditioning that's going to my daughter's room is supposed to be heat. Now, you explain to the owner, I can't do that because the way the house is built, it'll create an awkward convection, right? Where people could get a pneumonia-like symptoms. You see what I'm saying? If I were to do that. So I don't want to do that so that way there's not an over circulation of cold air within your house. God doesn't understand that. Bam, you go to court. Once again, you're defending yourself. Let me go ahead and take this on down now. Stop sharing real quick. Now you go to court yourself, right? And you're there in front of the judge, and I'm going to pull up some other stuff. And you say, Your Honor, I don't know what it is that I've done wrong because this person, they paid for this job. I'm supposed to do the job that they asked me for, but I'm also supposed to do it within a certain standard, which is a professional standard. If what they asked me to do, I couldn't do, I have to do within a way that still satisfies the needs of our customers. You explain all these things. They ask you about your credentials. You explain your credentials. Once again, these are all, you would need all these things. So you need to be licensed, bonded, insured, for sure. That's off tops. If you're not already, in some kind of a union where that's just that's a happenstance. But um, it would be one of those things where you would have all your paperwork in the right way. You get what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't you wouldn't do anything wrong. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna show it to you. We've got the HVAC ventilation code right now for Wisconsin. Bam. And people think this is crazy, but this is actually what it takes to show people how it works. Give me one moment. Damn it. Alrighty. Here we are. And let me make it just a little bit bigger. Ooh, ooh. I think that's good. Let me check that. That's better. That's legible. I'm gonna try to make it just a little bigger. But if it messes up on me, then I'll leave it like this. Bam. It's the best it's gonna be. Okay, so we're gonna look up scope, design, selection of equipment, types of location of equipment, solid fuel burning surfaces, safety controls. Bam. We're just gonna go right to it. Combustion air. Naturally vented appliances and other appliances that require air for combustion and dilution of flue gases to be taken from within the building shall comply with this section. Stop right there. So this goes exactly what I'm talking about. Unsafe convections of any sort, right on? Because it's not just the gases that they're worried about. They're worried about you pushing hot air, cold air in the wrong places. Can you dig it? Because that's how you get somebody sick too. However, because gases that if you're not working with gas, then that's not applicable. Can you dig? So this is why I can say what I just said, that if you don't have a gas heater and it's electric, and you have a electric air conditioner, none of it's working with gas or gases, because the mechanisms are like that, then that's not applicable. But it's talking about how the air is actually working, and what the ventilation does from how you put the system together. Is this guy bringing in a bunch of dust from outside? Is he pushing around a bunch of dander inside the house? These things that make it unhealthy. However, appliances that are provided with a direct supply of outside air for combustion in accordance with the manufacturer's installation instructions and listing are not required to comply with the section. So listen, it's talking about when you have the appliances, right? It says that are provided with direct supply of outside air. You get what I'm talking about? Because this right here is talking about from within the building. So outside air obviously is cleaner than what? Inside air. So it's totally different. So they're like, you you doing a ventilation job from something that goes inside to outside as opposed to outside to inside works differently. And then it they're different. Section 1A and B are talking about different things. Obviously, what's in within the building, and then this is outside air or combustion. You know what I mean? And once again, because things can combust outside with the right chemical elements being gathered at the right or in the right ways or in the wrong ways, depending on how you look at it, and depending on what the appliances are that you're using. I could totally see that happening now. Where the appliances list and the manufacturer's instructions that are more stringent than the provisions of the section, the listing and the manufacturer's instructions apply. Okay, so that's just simple. It's saying that if whatever you're doing is more complicated, right on, uh, than what they have you already dealing with, that the instructions have you supposed to do, everything that it has listed, right on, you have to do, because you already have a parameter to work within, and this parameter is even smaller, so the error for a mistake is much smaller. Masonry fireplaces shall conform to the requirements of whatever these codes are. So, and I'm sure that has to do with, once again, this is talking about the airflow. I can't stress it enough. So I'm talking about people getting sick, people not getting sick. I know it seems like I'm getting carried away with all this, but these are the types of things that a person would have to be privy to. You wouldn't just be an HVAC person. You wouldn't be a good HVAC person, let me say that, in the state of Wisconsin, and not have looked at this section. You get what I mean? You would be, to me, subpar, because that means that all the penalties that come with you doing something wrong, not listed right here, that means that if you didn't do it like this, you're wrong. You get what I mean? Listed fireplace stoves are not required to comply with this section if permitted in the manufacturer's instructions. So what it's saying right now is that whatever you have as the equipment, if it has written in that a certain type of fireplace or a certain type of mechanism is written within the 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 I guess the workability of the device, depending on what it is, then that is okay. That is something that they will abide with. But if it's something that's going to possibly hamper or cause health effects, it has to go. We can't. You either you fix that, or you can't put our equipment here, because it could be detrimental. Listed, obviously, I read that already. Let's see. Air combustion and dilution shall be provided in accordance with one of the following. If the vapor retarder is not listen, the vapor slower. This is what slows the vapor down. Is not continuous on walls and ceilings exposed to the outside atmosphere allowed by whatever air may be provided from inside the building with accordance with sub. So it's saying that, from what I'm understanding, if the inside air and the outside air work together to maintain the environment, then you can do whatever this is. Right on. So because I'm once again, I'm not going to look into all these admin codes just to be specific or whatever. But this is pretty much what that's saying though. Uh, and the vapor retarder. Obviously, this is so that way condensation doesn't build up on the walls and shielding mildew, mold, things like that. So it's just saying that if the inside air and the outside air, as I just said, can work together, then these things can be here. But if it's going to cause an issue, then it can't. Air may be provided from the outside of the building in accordance with the sub. So once again, I can't stress to you enough. I'm not trying to get too carried away with all this HVAC stuff, but a person who doesn't know this, because now I'm about to go all in as a pro se person. If you don't know what these little rules are, right? All of them. You see what I'm saying? Um, The net-free area of each opening connected to the outdoors through a horizontal duct shall be minimum of 1 square inch per 2,000 BTU of combined input rating of the fuel burning appliances drawing combustion and dilution air from the room. So this is so that way, whatever it is, right, doesn't probably explode and cause a fire or overcharge some shit and make it explode and charge a fire, and start a fire. I'm sure that has to do with keeping a fire from happening, you know because we're talking about electrical units right now. So uh let's just go back up to the air quality one real quick. Air from inside the building. The net free area of opening shall be a minimum of no. Methods for providing air. There we go. An engineered system providing an adequate system supply of air for combustion, ventilation, and dilution of flue gases may be installed if approved by the department. Now let's just go ahead and stop right there. Boom. Once again, this would be the one that kind of fits what I talked about at first. You go into Joe Blow's house, Joe Schmuckatelli, to do a job for him. He pays all the money. We're in the village of Bloomfield, the village of Bloomfield, which is in Wisconsin. You're an HVAC guy there. This is the code for the state. So you're already trying to override whatever the city municipal code is, right? And you're making it to where you are dealing with only the state statutes. However, this would be what you would this will probably be the law that a person like I would use to defend myself, right? If a person claimed that I did something that they didn't want me to do, right? An engineered system providing an adequate supply of air for combustion, ventilation, and dilution of flue gases may be installed if approved by the department. So if your department is the people that gives you the approval, uh and it's not say the customer, right? Because you don't need their approval unless that's written within the contractual standards of whatever you have written up as maybe a private contractor, but not a state or city contractor. Totally different. And then even then, if that's not written and specified in the contract, that's not something that you have to worry about because we're doing things that are based on state law, things that are already established. Um, so when you're pro se, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing this now so I can try to get to y'all and talk it up, chop it up with y'all. So what's happening is this. Hello, everybody. What up, everybody? Um, Pro se means this. You go in front of the judge. Potentially, the other party has representation. If the other party is not some form of representation themselves, what you're doing or attempting to do is is make it, what's the word I'm looking for? All courts ever try to do is make you prove the burden of proof, you know, which is the word that they use, preponderance. I'm going to give you the prepon. 1 second. is the quality or act of being greater in number, quantity, or importance, prevalence, predominance, dominance, right? So preponderance is you proving a greater quality of something to the courts, whatever your argument is. I would say that legally, one has to have the mind to to know what these statutes are for their state. I'm going to close down these little windows. Give me 1 second. Not worried about Bloomfield, Wisconsin anymore, their state legislature. I'm just going to explain it from the point of view that I understand. I hope you guys were actually looking at that stuff while I was just sitting there. Um, I know I wasn't scrolling all down and doing all that, but I think we read enough to get the general gist of just the HVAC part. And that's a small part. That's a tiny little section of their laws, of the other laws that a person may have broken while trying to uphold that statute. And the law they may have broken is greater in importance and as far as severity of punishment is. So one has to be totally aware of the parameters of everything that they're dealing with. You can't just think that what you know is enough. You have to know what you know is enough, if that makes sense. So when I talk about my case in particular, because the civil one, it has worked out like this. Today, I printed up this paperwork right here. I'm going to do my best to show it to you. Give me one moment. It is this thing right here. And I'm going to look at my little camera to see how good I have it on here. Give me 1 second. Oh, it's pretty good. 1 second. Yeah. It's not bad at all. So let me get just a little bit closer. You don't got to really see everything, but this is going to be one of the things that I use to prove, okay, that the officers who came to my house are totally out of their line of authority. Number one, the conflict of interest that was created by the fact that the police officer from Tacoma who entered my home to be the liaison officer, so to speak, from the county, he is an officer who also wrote a report against me, excuse me, last year. One of these same very reports was used to get the ERPO against me. So the fact that neither he knew about it, nor the fact that Officer Brian Hewitt informed him that he was about to commit this act, you see, this is what I'm talking about, is with proof. So if you're a person who's representing yourself, once again, because this is a civil matter, the extremist protection order, the criminal matter is the unlawful possession of a firearm, but we're not worried about that. We're worried about the other things. You see what I'm saying? Because I didn't unlawfully possess anything. I didn't possess anything on my, especially the idea of it being on my persons is totally ludicrous. So, however, if you're an HVAC person and you're in Wisconsin and Joe Blow Schmuckatelli said, I want you to put air conditioner in my daughter's room or a heater in my daughter's room and an AC in my son's room, but you realize as you're about to do it, maybe the building that they live in, he lives too close to a certain kind of company or plant, and he's made it clear to you that his son is allergic to certain types of germinations in the air, and he might live right close to a bakery. So you're like, I don't want to put the AC in his room. You get what I'm saying? And it's pulling in whatever kind of air from the outside that could potentially be pulling in germination from the outside that could get him sick. You see what I mean? So when there's things like that that happen, maybe it's just as the HVAC person, you don't argue that what you did was right. You just say that what I did was correct within the parameters of what it is that I'm told to do, and then you maybe throw the line of this individual could have had his son and daughter switch rooms. You see, though it's not about this man and his son or his daughter, it's just about you delivering a legitimate argument. See, I've been so legit and I've done such a good job that they've had not one but two different people who work within the county building come against me, and that was the first person from the domestic violence unit, and then in particular the firearms lady or the firearms person, and then one of their head prosecutors this last time. Now, why that's so important is because the fact that I don't have representation and he does, and he didn't have representation his first two times in court, so he felt that he didn't need it. He felt that he needed no support, you know, and until he was made to look like a fool and childish, he didn't feel the need to get representation. Now, as far as this other case is concerned, this this what's this possession case, right, is concerned, the criminal case. I can't really be angry about it because what it does is that it allows for me to pull individuals who I normally would not have been able to subpoena under normal circumstance. It allows me to have them subpoenaed, like all of these judges that I've had to look at and all the judges that I haven't seen. So even though I'm not pro se, I'm still acting for myself. I'm still propria persona. I'm still for myself because I will ask, no, I will inform and request vehemently that this is what's done, or I will simply relinquish the duty of the person who calls themselves the public defender. Now, once again, in the other case, my civil case, I didn't need a public defender. There was no criminal charge. I don't need one now, but I would rather have them do all the other work that I just don't want to do, all the running around and all the filing of the paperwork that I just don't want to do. Um, so what I'm trying to say is that you represent yourself like this. You have all the information lined up, squared away. You know exactly what the points are, the facts. Only ever use the facts. What you know may be pertinent to the situation, but is not factual because it is not annotated anywhere as maybe something that only you witnessed. You have to realize that even if you bring it up, it may not be taken into the level of validity as something else. We have to realize that there have been people who have brought video, audio, all these things, writings of a person claiming to do something or claiming that they were going to do something, and yet the court still decided against what may have been justice. So I have to be more circumspect to believe that. That's the word I'm looking for. I'd have to be more wise, excuse me, to believe that allowing a person who is not in the same situation, they're not in any danger. I don't see the validity of thought of allowing that person to to um to represent me. You get what I mean? I just don't see how they can speak up for you better than you can, you know. You might not know how the courts want you to say it. This is my whole point. You might not know how the courts want you to say it, but you still know what you want to say. You have to say it and you have to explain to the courts what you mean at all times. See, one of the things that people do wrong is because they go and get a lawyer And then the lawyer puts together the entire argument for them. We're going to argue this point. We're going to say this. But realistically, what they want to argue may not have the strongest substance. What you may say may be something simple, effective, and it may be something that you can prove, something that there is actually a viable claim in, as they would say. So when you go through what it is the legal system, be circumspect, you know, be very circumspect. Um, I didn't plan on this one being this long. I'll probably be on for like another 30, 40 minutes. You know, I just really wanted to share this with you, you know, about standing up for yourself, you know. And I think how I just broke it down was the first way of coming into it. This is just the first wave of legal information. I'm going to come at it from a bunch of different little points of views in different states. And you guys are gonna learn with me as I learn about different things about different states that we may not know about. See what I mean? It was highly informational just to see something about HVAC. I know it doesn't seem like it's important, but these are statutes within your own state, wherever you live. And these are things that you can look up, become knowledgeable on. Uh, Even if you don't have the time to look them up and to become knowledgeable about them, you can set a course for that to be the case. Or maybe there's someone that you know who is excited about these sort of things that you can give this information to, and maybe they can use it. So this is just about excuse me. This is about being first positive and negative situations. Okay, because you need to know how to deal with the courts when they start to deal with you in a very adverse way. You can say how you feel, but don't ever get in trouble. You understand? There's no need to get in trouble because when you're representing yourself, you are the ambassador. I was asked by the judge when I went to court on Thursday. He said to me, he said, "Why don't you have a counsel for this case?" I said, "That's a criminal matter. This is a civil matter." I said, "I don't need a lawyer for this, you know, and I don't need a lawyer for the criminal matter either." Where we're at now, I think I may have already just not. I don't think there would have been anything at my arraignment. It would have been a not guilty, and it would have been but I couldn't represent myself pro se. They wouldn't let me. The dude was like, "No, I have to represent you." Blase, 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 blase. And I'm like, but I'm pretty sure there was something wrong about that too. But he took some of my points that he told me that wouldn't work and used them while we were out there in court. So, however, get them to work for you. Okay. Check your anger. Don't don't bite your tongue too hard. Say what you need to say, right? But control yourself. Because at the end of the day, when you are representing yourself, once again, you are your only ambassador. You are the only person who can make you look good or bad. Because a lawyer can say something that is not true, that is taken out of context, that though they may recant and correct it, the idea that they may have implanted upon a jury, a judge, a prosecutor, whomever, right? Discerning witnesses within the audience. This is something that people have to take into consideration. They must keep this in their mind. Um, I've been to many different court proceedings. They don't look like they do on these TV shows. These large courtrooms, they're small. The courtrooms are small. Okay, um, they only fit so many people in them. They only have so many cases per day, so that way people can speak their piece. Because that's one of the things that can get you in trouble in this state as a judge is not allowing the person to speak and say everything that they need to say. I know I don't know everything, y'all. I know I trust me, I know this. But I'm just trying to share with you what it is that is on my mind. Cause I know that what's happened to me is coming for everyone in its own way. And I'm not wishing anything bad on anyone. I'm just saying that the environment is being shaped up that they can criminalize us for anything they want and they can kill us for anything that they want. So propria persona for oneself will end up being the motto eventually. It will probably end up being what most people have to do because there may not be legal representation available. You see what I'm saying? What happens in the day when there is no lawyer and it's just what you know, it's just what you understand, right? That's the part about all of this that is so beautiful because the people don't appreciate and they don't respect the formality of what actually is taking place. We're watching history unfold before our eyes. Watching a lot of different things. I'm going to go to another little state. I'm just going to pull up some stuff. Let's go. Mm, let's go Rhode Island state constitution. Damn. Go ahead and pull it up. Give me one moment. Uh, and here we are. One second. All right. We're going with that thing. So, as you can see, Constitution of the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantation, done in convention at Providence this 4th day, December AD 1986, including all amendments approved as of November 4, 2014. Still the state of Rhode Island, 1636, and Providence Plantations. Obviously, 1636, we know that they were enslaving folk over there. However, now understand, I'm not sure if you guys noticed this in the other constitutions. I'm talking about in almost every state constitution, you're going to find that right there, slavery prohibited. Why do you think they have to say that? Huh? Do you understand? Do you get me? Why do you think they have to say that? Why do you think they even care to tell you that? You get what I'm saying? This is why they go so hard to tell us their lies and to tell us everything that they want us to know. Now, if I so chose to, I could print all this stuff up right now. But this is what you would do if you're at home. If you want to get this stuff, you just fucking, you got a printer, man, you pull this shit up, bam, you print it, it's yours just like that. Maybe all the information doesn't come off the way you want it to, but most of it will print, you know. And if you got the kind of patience that I have sometimes, you just make it a little bit smaller so that way all of it will fit on the page. But we're going to go to Article 1, Section 4. Give me one moment. Slavery prohibited. Slavery shall not be permitted in this state. Look, you see how short that is? Look, fucking stop for 1 second. Look at all this other shit. Excuse my language, but that fucked me up. Section 8 is almost, as little. But that's talking about bails and fines. Look, slavery prohibited. Slavery should not be permitted in this state. That's how little it is. They don't talk about nothing else. Freedom of religion. Whereas Almighty God hath created the mind free, and all attempts to influence it by temporal punishments or burdens, or by civil incapacitations. These guys are funny. Yeah, tend to get habits of hypocrisy and meanness, whereas the principal object of our venerable ancestors and the migration to this country and their settlement of this state was, as they expressed, to hold forth a lively experiment that a flourishing civil state may stand and be best maintained with the full liberty and religious concernments. We therefore declare that no person shall be compelled to frequent or support any religious worship, place, or ministry, whatever, except in the fulfillment such as person's voluntary contract, nor enforce, restrain, molested, or burden in body of goods, nor disqualified from holding any office, nor otherwise suffer on account of such person's religious belief, that every person shall be free to worship God according to the dictates of such person's conscience. Stop right there. Now, this is deep. They're saying whatever you call God is what you think it is. You understand? And we can't tell you who you think God is. But they just gave the God word, the God word, to all the other deities. Do you see why reading something like this and understanding something like that is so huge? Now let's just dial it back real quick. It says right here, it says, we therefore declare that no person shall be compelled to frequent or to support any religious worship, place, ministry, whatever, except in fulfillment of such person's voluntary contract. Okay, let's stop right there for a moment. Now, when you go to court, they will make you put your hand on the Bible and swear. Right on? Now, for all these people who are saying, oh, these guys are this religion, this faith, that faith, they still will make you perform. Even if you don't want to put your hand on the Bible and swear, you still have to perform. So I just think it's weird that they said that, but they know that they'll say, I, John Doe, on this day, at this time, state that all statements that I have given are true and correct, by punishment of the law. So help me God, right? Why would you need to say "so help me God" if, well, they didn't want you to? And then once again, if they're telling you that you're free to worship whoever you think is God, but they're using a Bible as so they should have I don't know, every book of every person's religious beliefs, right? So that way they can swear on that book, I guess, because to say that, but to make you use a Bible, once again, I'm sure this same freedom of religion nonsense is in pretty much every single state constitution. Maybe not worded the same, but very close to. Because we have to realize that states like Washington, when they were founded, slavery had already been abolished. So you weren't about to come out here practicing no good old day nonsense. You know, you were going to practice some new kind of hate for Black folk. But however, let's go down to right here. Section 9, right to bail. This is beautiful. All persons in prisons ought to be bailed by sufficient surety unless offenses punishable by imprisonment for life or for offenses involving the use of threat or use of dangerous weapon by one already convicted of such offense. By one already convicted of such offense or already convicted of a punishable by imprisonment or already convicted of a punishment of an offense punishable by imprisonment for life. There we go. So pretty much it's saying that people who can't get bail are people who are looking at life terms, people who are being held on a dangerous weapon term, right? And they already have a conviction in the same like manner, right? Or they already have been convicted for an offense that was punishable by life imprisonment, or for an offense involving an unlawful sale, distribution, manufacture, deliver, possession, or with intent to manufacture, sell, distribute, or deliver any controlled substance, or by possession of controlled substance, punishable by imprisonment for 10 years or more, when all the proof of guilt is evident, or the presumption of or the presumption great. Nothing in this section shall be construed to confer the right to bail pending appeal of a conviction. So they're saying that if you're appealing a conviction, they're saying that you don't get the right to bail, dude. You don't get, so you can't say that, oh, this is different now, so now I get to try to bail out again because I got convicted. No, you're just trying to fight to appeal to get the conviction overturned. So once you can do that, maybe you battle back to getting your bail, but you don't get bail just by you appealing. One moment. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when the cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety shall require it, never without the authority of the General Assembly. Note this section was amended in 1988, Resolution 262, approved by the voters on November 3, 1988. So I'm going to go ahead and close that down. One moment. Yeah. But as you can see, as I just read to you, like I could do this all day, realistically. I could probably realistically do this all day, you know. Um, I love it. This is what I look forward to. You know. You don't know what, sister? Because if you want me to go back over something, I will. So what don't you know? So I can try to bridge the gap, so to speak. But while I wait for you, these are small things. People really think that like you need a lawyer, and it's like, what happens? Did you guys read that? Like, once again, in rebellion or evasion, right? They can suspend the writ of habeas corpus. So no, you don't have the right to bail. You don't have the right to a speedy trial. You don't have the right to representation. You don't have the right to any of that. And people will try to tell you that you do. And I'm trying to tell you that there could come a day that you don't. And wherever you live, whatever that state is, you need to start getting a little brushed up. It would behoove you to know a little bit about what's going on, because it might be the difference between actual life or death, and it could be the difference between nefarious forces attempting to do things that they know are immoral, but because there's no one there to stop them, well, there's no one there to stop them. You see, and that's always going to be uh, what's the word I'm looking for? That's always going to be debilitating. Um, I don't know if everybody sees it the same way all the time, but it's like when people get hungry, they're hungry, and they all understand that. When people get thirsty, they're thirsty. They all understand that. And it's like for some odd reason they can't see that. Like, if they take away this base, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's huge. But they take away this basic privilege for people, right? You will be propria persona for oneself. You will be representing yourself. And having no knowledge in the law of the land around you gives the system, the courts, the authorities of the law of the land, the ability to abuse their influence and their powers that have been vested into them, however that they were first granted or gathered. But that's just one of those things where uh I mean, how can I speak for what everybody else thinks? I don't know what anybody else thinks, you know what I mean? I can't say what anybody thinks, really. I don't know, you know. But I would just like to say that I don't want nothing to happen to anybody that is most definitely here, but anybody who's not here, for all the people that may watch it, you know, it would be lovely for them to just take a couple minutes just to give me the time of the day, so that way maybe they can get the ire once again to just become knowledgeable. And they might think they're so much smarter than me, and that's fine. That's whatever. Okay, you're smarter than me, or whatever it is that they've told themselves. Go get the information, right? And if you're not going to share with anyone, at least don't become a victim while you have that information. Don't know all that information and then not do anything with it. You see what I mean? You can't be afraid to do what it is that must be done. You see what I mean? You can't be. You have to do what must be done. This system here is crooked, wicked, and evil. You have to be righteous. You have to be wise. And you have to be patient. So that way you can see all those little crooked, wicked, evil things coming. So as to, if you can't counteract them or totally avoid them, you can at least mitigate the effect of the consequences that will be felt. This is why when people get a lawyer and they pay all this money for them and they go to prison for a much longer time than they think that they should be going to prison for, it's because they paid this person all this money. And they might go to prison to find out a law that maybe the lawyer did or didn't know. Now, some people get out and sue a lawyer because, once again, they did something like that. But some people get out, and once again, if the person was ignorant to the law, all they can do now is say, well, they duped me because they've done what everybody else does in the system, and I've allowed myself to become a victim. You get what I mean? I mean, it's like you can't excuse yourself from that. Like, that's on you as a person, as a grown person. Like, you can't try to say like, oh, that's the fault of a of a judge or even that lawyer. Like, that's on you because you gave them the money. You know what I mean? You gave them those dividends. Once again, people don't take the time to sit down to do the actual research and read the books or read the catalogs or whatever, because that's what a good lawyer would have had to have done back in the day. They would have to actually have been knowledgeable. But because you have so much, we're in the what they call the internet age or whatever. So we're in that age, and so people don't have to do anything anymore. You know what I mean? People don't have to study as hard. They don't have to work as hard for the information, and that's always going to have a detriment. That's always going to have its role and its effect on people. I pray to God that all of you have taken something from this and that this has been useful. Um, I'll stop in again and do some more stuff like this. Uh, I got to get done with my little video first, so that might take me a few days. But um, yeah, I'm gonna stop in and oh no, thank you, sister. I just think it's fair to just speak to our brothers and our sisters, so that way they can share this with their brothers and their sisters, you know, and hopefully help them. Hopefully it's a help, you know. I know black people are stubborn and they like to be hard headed, but sometimes black people listen. Sometimes we like to listen. Sometimes we just love to just you know we like to do the right thing. I think they try to say that thinking and feeling and or I believe aren't intelligent ways of expressing oneself. But before I can manifest a word, I have to manifest a thought. So I do think it. And before I tell you something that I thought, trust me, I must also believe it. But in order for that to have even have manifested, I felt something in the first place. So I don't know what people think, but their antics and their foolishness shall be weighed against them, and they shall see how wise it is that they think they are. No, sister, you are wise. All of you guys are wise. I learned more from y'all. Once again, I learned more from you guys than you guys probably really think. I learned a lot. I'm just watching the screen sometime, but sometimes it's just a question. Sometimes it'll be a particular interaction, something that I might gather from a person's personality, you know, or something that they may have been through because of what they may have said. So I I learn so much, you know, from dealing with our people. What up, Martin? What up, bro? You know, I just learned a lot, just by listening to people. I learned a lot by watching. I would say to everybody, um, maybe if I have the time this week, I might go sit down in court, and if it's okay, I'll record the whole thing. You know what I mean? I'll record it, man. I'll just record the whole thing, because that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, learn a lot from you too, Stephen. I learn from everybody I deal with, and that's not being facetious. That's not being any kind of sarcastic or anything, sardonic or anything like that. I am being very serious. I learn from everybody. I attempt to learn from people. You know, everybody has something to share. Everyone has something to share. It's just unfortunate that some people are taught wickedness and evil from the time that they're a sperm cell to the time that they become a walking, talking uh, congeniation of a sperm and an egg, and then they're off to their start. So some people just never have a chance. They never had one. They were bad from the beginning. But other people normally, I would assume they, if given the ability and the time and opportunity, they would be good people. They would have learned to be good people. Or a nation of people who have learned to hate for 400 years, and we expect them to just put their hate down tomorrow. You know, but they can't learn to undo something that was taught to them for hundreds of years. They can't learn to undo something that has kept them in in contention with the rest of the world. And brother, man, it's just one hand washing the other, bro. That's all. Just one hand washing the other. There's things that I wish that people took a little more to that they don't. Maybe with a little more time they will. But this is something that I know when everyone has the time who wasn't here before later to just check it out. They'll have the ability to see that everything that was spoke on was 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 valid, and it's supposed to be a part of our life. You know, like we have to know these little ass things. You know, we don't have to know about HVAC, but if you work in the nursing industry, you need to know all the state ordinances. You're funny. I don't know what to say about that. I would most definitely to tell her to take what I say with a grain of salt because I'm only 27, you know. So, oh, one moment. Uh, Twilight of the day is starting to happen, but yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm just me. I just want to say what it is and try to be honest, attempt to be honest the best way that I know how, because a lot of people tell lies and they like to just tell lies because it's not that it's just popular, it's it's fashionable, you know. It's fashionable for people to say things that are totally irreverent just for the sake of saying them, you know. But when it comes to the law, I would always say do the research first. If you don't know where to start with your research, I would say just hit me up. You know, pretty sure you guys have my email. If you don't, djones30517 at gmail. You know, and I don't know. I mean, that's just my way of looking at it. Like I don't think that they know anything that we don't know. A lawyer or whatever, they just have. Sometimes they actually have access to the not to the information and the knowledge at a much easier rate. And that makes a huge difference. If a person can access information that you just don't have access to, I mean, right? Yeah, they're going to know something that you don't know. I mean, but that doesn't make them more intelligent than you. You know, once you get a hold of the same information, you could hear the same argument, hear the same thing, but defend it from a whole different point of view and use different laws or codes of your state that support your argument or support, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to say. Because it might not be an argument that you have, you know, you might have a grievance, you know. However, uh, you have to be able to do this on a term where in which you must be able to do it by yourself. Can't stress it enough. You can pay for a lawyer if you want, but you can't be upset if they don't want to listen to you because they're like, I've been a lawyer for the last 30 years. I've seen these kind of cases. I do this all the time. Uh, if you want, I'll give you back a part of your retainer, and I'll give you back the other money that you and you know, and we can split ways. And they talk this tough talk to get people to think and believe that that they actually, you know, because they've been doing it for 30 years or 20 years, that they're just the best. Like that's not how it works. You know, these guys know the judges. They have a good, outstanding relationship with the judges. Right. Beautiful relationship with these people. Do you get it? You see how that works? So when that's going to be your, you know, your career or your life, you know, that's they've already got it made out. But this is why, for us as people, we've got to know how to stand up the right ways, you know, because they'll take you to jail just for trying to say the wrong things in the court. You don't have to very much do anything. You could just say something and find yourself going to jail realistically. So, you know, when you are defending yourself, you have to always keep in your mind that there are groups of people who have made a living off of sending people who look just like you or similar to you to prison. They've made a lot of money off of it, you know. What up, Brandon? How you doing, bro? But you know, and I'm just talking about the legal system, bro. I'm not talking about the Bible right now, you know. But I was just chopping it, just saying, like most people just don't have not even like a clear understanding, but a basic understanding of what their rights may be and what they are. And sometimes they get abused when they go to these courts. You have to know how to defend yourself. I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good, and thank you for asking. Um, um, I had used an example of a person who works in like Wisconsin or something like that, who's an HVAC worker, because I had pulled up their little city codes. I had pulled up, Wisconsin State Library or whatever, and I went to one of their little villages there, and we pulled up, the HVAC guide code, like the HVAC application for them, and then I pulled up the state code on the HVAC stuff, and then I went and I looked into like the safety controls part of it, or the safety procedures or whatever. And it was just like trying to show people, like, a person might complain or try to take you to court because they claim that you didn't do the job right, but really you did it so that way maybe a child of theirs that they made you aware of had a certain allergen. So you didn't set up a certain mechanism a certain way. You reverse engineered everything, and they're upset because they felt like they didn't get what they paid for. However, you followed the rules. You know. Oh, that's funny. You just be getting around. You just be getting around everywhere. You're like, yeah, I just be going everywhere. I'm glad that you travel like that. That's cool that you travel like that. You know, maybe when things shape up for me, I might I might move around a little more. But it is crazy that I picked Wisconsin of all places. But I was gonna go with Vermont. I really was. And then I just didn't want to pick like like a standard, like Illinois or like, Michigan, you know, or even like a Ohio, or an Arkansas or anything like that. So I was like, let me go Wisconsin, you know. But anyway, the laws that govern to it pretty much say certain devices can be used indoors. Uh, oh, of course it is. Yeah, Wisconsin is. Yeah, yeah. So is Washington, though. So is where I live. They claim it's really ethnic, but it's really not. You see what I'm saying? There's just pockets of people that live in these places that make it colorful. But when you get to the like the actual other cities of Washington, there's just a bunch of white people. But um anyway, the laws for the HVAC stuff in Wisconsin, I want to say was oh my goodness, Bloom Village. Yeah, Bloom Village, Wisconsin. And once again, Joe Blow Schmuckatelli. Yeah, bro. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. 80% white in Washington. I mean, come on, man. The odds just aren't good for you. So this is why, propria persona for oneself, having just a basic understanding of the law is truly, uh, um, it's not as so much, just a blessing. It's a, it's a, it's almost like yeah, so like that's what I always try to tell y'all, man. I didn't grow up in no kind of like black communities. I always say this, and I don't mean to caveat or to get off track. But but let me go ahead and reel myself back in. Give me 1 second. Wisconsin, HVAC guy, knowing the laws that pertain to, safety procedures. And if the safety procedure obviously is going to trump some dude's want or desire of a particular design in his home. Now, if he's saying that what you did got his children sick, on the other hand, because let's say you didn't follow those laws or you didn't know those laws, those might be the same laws used on you. You see what I'm saying? To sit you, down into prison or to jail or to strip you of your license and your ability to make dividends. So a person needing to be knowledgeable of not just the rules, but the rules that apply to them. You see, um, people who don't drive vehicles don't have to know every single thing that a person who has a license may need to know in order to get their license. But it would be wise for a person who travels abroad or moves about on their feet like I do. I traverse a lot. It's wise to know what the ordinances are for pedestrians or for people who ride bicycles, the cyclists and things like that. It's wise to know those laws because in Tacoma, where I live, they have an ordinance. It's now check this out. State law, you don't have to wear a helmet. You know what I'm saying? In the state of Washington, that's not you don't have to do that. You don't have to. But in the city of Tacoma, it's the law that you have a freaking helmet on. So they can give you a ticket if they like. Now, you can take that to court and try to win, but the thing is though is that like if they argue that you were in some kind of danger or you posed a threat to yourself and to others, blase, blase, blase. Yeah, that's why they put all the bike lanes here, bro. That's why they put all the bike lanes up. You know what I mean? We're not supposed to ride on the sidewalks, but I mean, people still do. But yeah, they want you to ride in the street, but they don't have the bike lanes the proper way. Because my dad was saying back in the 70s, you rode against oncoming traffic. You didn't ride with it, so that way if a person was drunk or something like that, you could see that and you could make evasive maneuvers, even if that meant you had to sacrifice the bike or, it's life over limb pretty much. But yeah, that's why they made the bike lanes initially, is because they made those laws. I'm not sure when. I'm sure they've been on the books for a while, but they made those laws, and then they started making those bike lanes all in Seattle. In Seattle, they'll really try to get a person. Yeah, yeah. It should be common sense that you ride against the traffic, man. Bro, it should. Man, tell me about it. But that's how people are. But but that but this ties into people knowing the law, though. It should be a little common sense for all of us to have sat down and said, you know what? I don't need to read the whole state constitution, but let me read the general provisions around it. And I don't have to read it all today. Let's say I take a whole year to read my entire state constitution, right? In 365 days, I've read the whole thing. Even if I read 2 or 3 pages of it a day, I've read the whole state constitution. And I may not remember everything I read, but I'm going to have a vague familiarity with it now, and I'm not going to be totally ignorant. You see, and maybe something catches your interest that you become interested in, enthralled with, infatuated with, that you learn a lot about, that you become very knowledgeable about, something that you can share once again with your brothers and sisters, so that way they don't become victims of not having knowledge. It's not so much that they're ignorant and that they don't know better, because they know how to research. Okay, they know to research. They just they don't have a reason as to why would they research the laws if I don't break the laws. This is most people's mentality, is that they figure because they follow the law, there's no need for them to have excessive knowledge thereof, because I'm never going to be in a situation This is what they're thinking. I'm never going to be in a situation where in which this will apply to me. So because they go on in their life thinking like this, they carry on thinking like this, they don't think that they're going to be the person that a young child runs out in the middle of the road and they run them over and kill him. They don't think that they're going to be the person who's in their home and the home gets set on fire and oh man, bro, the firearm initiative stuff. I'm going through the craziest firearm nonsense right now. I told you about it, but you know how that is. But that's the thing though, is that people aren't gonna believe that people don't believe, they don't want to believe that it applies to them. They don't have the inclination to think like that, because then it means that if they learn these things, then they start to realize how much authority the powers that be actually have. You see, if you actually took the time to read, let's say the police manual of any minute of where you live, so the municipality that you live in and neighboring municipalities, right? Just to read a little bit of it, you just read a couple of the rules. You will see how broad the range of authority these people have to exercise this. This is why people should file complaints more often, because if an officer doesn't know the policy that well, they're going to violate the policy. You know, they're going to violate the policy. Oh, bro, just like the sister, you know what I'm saying? Just like Sister Tammy Bowser said, man, more than dead on, bro. But they're gonna do something funny, just like they did a few years ago with that Mary Pilchuck thing, where the crazy little boy went out there and shot up the school, and then they passed that initiative 594 or whatever it was, and then they made it to where you couldn't go get a gun, you couldn't just buy and sell guns no more. They made it fucking almost impossible to get a gun for certain people. And they're talking about, we're just trying to keep guns out of the hands of criminals, but it's like, for people who are already intimidated by the system, people who are already fearful of the government, and you should never be fearful of the government, but there are people who operate in fear of the government. So they don't know to go get a gun license. They don't want to go get a gun license because they think that there may be trouble from them just going to go do that. You see? So because people don't have, I'm not even going to say the confidence or the gumption, but because people, once again, aren't taught to do things in the right spirit, in the right mind, they don't do these things. They don't actually take forth and put forth the action, because I don't vote. I don't believe in voting. I don't believe that something that has been broken since this country has started, as broken as the country itself, is going to fix things. I believe that whatever it is that they want, well, but you have yours. And once again, by me not voting, I get to watch the results, and I believe that it's already predestined. Like, they're already going to choose what they want to choose. They've had all these shootings at places like Walmart and stuff like that, all these wannabe burglars. They had these guys shooting it out with the cops in Spanaway and things like that, which is a city out here in Washington. So yeah, they'll probably pass whatever the least favorable action is for the citizens. More than likely, that's what they're going to do. However, um, um, people, you have to realize that there are entities, or there are groups of people, or there are individuals who will work with the entities and the powers that be, that will attempt to diminish you. So there's this guy, right? There's this security guard. They call him D, this little Aboriginal guy, right? Now it's funny, because the same night that the police arrested me, he was asking me all these weird questions like, yo, man, can the cops search this, this, and this? if I report a burglary on my house, and it's just like, to me, it's just like, the burglary is these guys going into my house, so it's like, it's almost like it's almost like everything that he said was indicative of what the police officers are doing, because later that night I get arrested. So it's like, what else am I to think? You get what I mean? You should be aware of the people that you speak to. Now, I didn't tell him shit, but it's just one of those things where, be careful who you speak to, be careful who you deal with, because there are folks who will play the part of being your brother or your sister just to garner favor with not just white people, but with anyone they can garner favor with, right? Just so that way that they can be above you. And if them garnering favor with these other people means that it costs you your life, your livelihood, your freedom, whatever, they'll do that. They'll do that because they don't care. It didn't happen to them. You see what I mean? They operate in wickedness. They think in wickedness. They don't have the capacity, because they either don't have a soul, or their soul is so murky that once again they lack the capacity to think on these things in an ethical manner, in a moral manner. Um, I mean, you really just got to know, it's about you knowing what is going on. The more knowledge you have, the more formidable of a foe you are. You see, um, a very peculiar piece of information I wanted to share with y'all. Like I said, Officer Hewitt failed to mention that in 2014, he was one of the officers who happened to so-called respond to a disturbance on the street, right? Now, the thing is this, is that he doesn't mention this in his actual annotation of what took place in 2014. He doesn't mention this at all. He doesn't mention that the sergeant who was there at that scene is the same sergeant who came here with him to serve the warrant in my house. He doesn't mention the fact that the same Jared Levitt is the same Jared Levitt who wrote a report against me back in 2017 of last year, before he left the Seattle Police Department at whatever time. Now, this may seem weird, but on the very least, by these two gentlemen, it seems as a concerted effort to make me seem guilty, or to attempt to bring shame to me, right? By doing what they did in the service of so-called being police. Now understand, the conflict of interest for this man to have served the warrant with this man is that he used to work with Seattle Police Department. He shouldn't have served the warrant with them on that standard alone, because his favorability of maybe watching them do something that was unrighteous, immoral, or unethical is higher than a person who does not know these officers, who's just been assigned to do this task. That way, to make sure that impartiality and unbiased policing takes place. However, you can't tell people how to think. You can't tell people what to do. All you can do is do for yourself. So I would love for you, all of my people, read something up this week. Find something out. Put it together, because that's what matters. You see what I'm saying? You have to know these things. It's a must that you know these things. A lot of people won't try to learn these things because they feel like it takes too much of an effort. But the same effort that it takes to learn all the stats of LeBron James, or Dr. J, or Kareem, or whoever it is that you favor in the NBA world, or if you're a football person and you're like Uh, I don't know who I don't know who people like these days. You know what I mean? I don't know who the favorite players are. You know, Le'Veon Bell or you know Leonard Fournette or uh, Cam Newton. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like people have all the time in the world to like know about these people and like they know everything about them. They can tell you everything about them if they use 10% of the energy that they put into. Yes, right. Every right. People are scholars in those fields. So if they could put a little bit of that scholarly effort into understanding the legal situation around them. And see, brother Martin, I'm trying to tell you, man, bro, you're a special dude, bro, because you're so young, man, and you're getting all this, bro. Like if I was your age and I had somebody like this, you know, in my ear for as long as you've been hanging around, you know, man, I don't know how different of a person I would be, but I think that would have helped my life. I think that would have helped my development as a young man into a you know as a younger man into a young man. You know, still a man, but you know a young man. However, these are things that people need. Uh, there is a thirst and a hunger for knowledge. You know that people should have, but they don't. There's no desire. The desire for knowledge and to learn should be like eating. You shouldn't be a glutton because you will overwhelm yourself, you know, but you should want to appease the appetite of what it is that has been garnered. And no, young man, it's an honor, man, to tell you, you know, just that, you know, keep your head on straight, keep doing what you're doing. Don't let nobody influence you with no bullshit, you know, and just stay out of trouble, man. And once again, learn this stuff that I'm talking about. Don't just listen to me say it and not ever apply it. Use it, young brother, you know, and then put your homeboys on game. So that way there's a little click of you when, you know, when you around certain people, these dudes is gamed up to a certain degree because what you told them. You see what I'm saying? You know, and that's how you got to do it. And this is one hand washing the other. You know, if you want to thank me and you want to thank her, that's how you do that. You apply this and you practically apply it by doing it. You see what I mean? So that way, once again, whenever you find your voice to start speaking up to people, if that whatever action it is that Martin Etta is to be accountable for in his life, when that action comes, he's ready. He has to. Martin Etta has to know the law of the land. Martin Etta can't be ignorant because if Martin Etta is ignorant, he will be played for a fool. That's just how it goes. I'm saying so. You must continue to work as hard as you've ever worked and to not stress yourself out while you're doing it. Like I said, you must have a desire for the knowledge, a hunger for it, a thirst for it, but not that of a glutton. Eventually, this will be something that we as a people will be able to look back at and say, oh, that actually may have been actually a little more helpful than I thought it was. Even if it's not in the time where there's computers and all those things. Maybe you find yourself in a situation sooner than you think, sooner than you'd like, right? But maybe you just so happen to have been looking up the laws that pertain to just that situation. So now you're once again, as me and Andre Wickham were saying, you're not mouthing off to these dudes and acting crazy. If you're under arrest, you're under arrest, dog. Right on. If they're trying to hurt you, then you need to speak up and state that you're not resisting. Right on. You need to speak up and state and make it clear that you're under arrest. And whatever you need to do to survive without looking like listen, whatever you need to do without looking like you're giving much resistance is what you need to do. So if that means you're tensing up all your muscles in your body, right, without making it look as if you're resisting anybody, so that way they can't break your neck or break your arms or do something like that, that's what you have to do. You get me? Because as Andre said, you're going to do yourself no good if you're talking about this is how you deal with the police, you know, but yet how you're dealing with the police is getting you body slammed. The police in Seattle never have ever body slammed me. Only once in my whole life can I think of cops ever doing that kind of shit to me, like, and like actually like getting away with it. And that was when I was 18, you know, you know, and they, obviously there was like, and they didn't body slam me, it was like a little tussle and I went down, but that's the only time I can think of like cops actually getting me, like that. And that's only because they threatened to tase me that I went down. Otherwise, I'd still be fighting right now. But anyway, uh, it's just that kind of stuff. If they say they're going to do something to you because you're doing something or whatever, right? Let them know, man. You can't, if I do that, they're going to hurt me. So you have to make it clear. Once again, you need to know. You need to know how to defend yourself. First, with your mouth. Because fighting with your hands and feet, pretty easy. It don't take long to do that, but it takes a lot longer to put together the information, to accumulate it, to decipher it, and then to connect it back together to where it makes sense to you now. Just like Sister Bowser was saying, the system is targeting the young like you, Martin. There is a psalm that says something like, knowledge is the principal thing, therefore get understanding. I couldn't agree more. And I couldn't say ever more that this topic was about that. Just getting understanding, trying to gain understanding, doing our best to do that. Because that's what's going to help us the most, is having a healthy mind and a healthy mindset. So before I close this on out, I just want to say this right here. In my case, I called today, left a message to the little lady, Miss Ramona Brandis, and tomorrow I'll be going to this other little spot, and I will be setting up a meeting with some kind of legal counsel, right? I will then seek to do my best. I mean, because if I can't see somebody before Friday, you know what I mean, then before Friday, then I have to just file this motion all by myself. And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay. That's just what it is. I file the motion myself, have the so-called judgment arrested or whatever, blah, 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 blah. File a motion to dismiss. Do the same thing that I've been doing. Look to start the civil once I get the civil case fully done with and I know that the firearms are going to be coming back, what will happen is I'll start my civil suit against the King County and potentially Pierce County and Tacoma Police Department. So I may have to get a prosecutor from a whole other jurisdiction to prosecute this because either Tacoma nor Seattle can be trusted to prosecute it with impartiality due to the nature of the case. However, I'm just rambling on. So, but I want y'all to know exactly what it is that I'm doing and understand that your brother would never tell you something that he doesn't believe himself. That's not how I get down. It's just not how I get down. However, my brothers, my sisters, I pray that y'all are having a good night. I pray that this week is, I pray that this week is a bomb ass week, a straight lovely week. I really do. I hope this is just a cracking week for you. You know, things that wouldn't happen do happen. The things that you need to stop, go ahead and cease. Increase, not decrease. And the only things being taken away from us are sin and iniquity. I'm praying for that. I'm asking for that. I'm asking that as always, the Father come and get us to be rescued. I pray that you guys do the same. Whew. Martin, Tammy, Brandon, and JP Hope, if you still here, brother. Andre, if you still here, brother. Much love to y'all. Man, man, it has been once again, an honor and a blessing. An honor and a blessing. Please stay safe, stay good. See you guys later.